All right, hey guys, OFD checking in here on a Monday, and for those of you here in the United States, it's Labor Day. So if you got a holiday, great. I'm glad you got the day off. If you don't, I hope you get a chance to watch this video. Now, what I'm going to do here is I have two actually brand new watches from AVI-8. These are both in the Centenary series. Now, if you guys watched my videos a while back, I did the 1940s AVI-8 in the Centenary series. Now, these are all limited edition pieces from AVI-8, so I'm not exactly sure how many numbers of each they're making, but I know that the 1920s and the 1940s are all sold out. They don't have those available anymore. They reached out to me last week and said, hey, we've got the 1980 or the 1960s and the 1980s available. We'd like to send them out to you and get them on the channel. So I'm really excited. Thanks to AVI-8 for getting these out. AVI-8 UK, very cool watches. So what I'm going to do with this first one here is I'm going to show you guys the packaging that these watches come in. And then with the 1980s watch, we'll go ahead and just look at the watch because it comes in the exact same packaging as this one here. So very nice packaging in the Centenary series. If you guys are familiar with AVI-8, this box is very similar to their standard boxes, only it's kind of more of a bigger, what I'd call like a double box. And it's a little bit, the outside box is obviously a little bit more fancy or substantial, I guess you'd say. So you have this kind of canvas box here with the two buckle straps down the front, the snaps on the front, a leather, nice leather embossed logo there with the AVI-8 and the Centenary logo there. So these watches are all celebrating the 100th year of the Royal Air Force. So, okay, let's go ahead and open up this box and take a look at what you get inside the case here. Now, over here on this side, we get this metal card kind of indicating that this is the 1960s model here. It is a limited edition. They come on these nice stainless steel cards. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and read this. If you guys want to go ahead and pause that and take a look, but it kind of gives you an idea of where the RAF was at in the 1960s and stuff like that, what they were prepping to do, what their the Air Force was, building their planes for and stuff like that at the time. So go ahead when you have a chance, go ahead and pause that and you can read the back of this. Very neat information there on the card. The box is a nice substantial box. Over here on the left-hand side, of course, you have the watch. So let's go ahead and pull it out of here. Now, go ahead and pull this off the top. A lot of these times, they're selling these in Nordstrom's and stuff like that, so they've got these little indicators on the top so that people know that, hey, this is an automatic style watch, not a quartz. So, all right, guys, as usual with AVI-8, these are in the Flyboy, excuse me for hitting the camera, these are in the Flyboy series here, so this case size is pretty standard to probably any of the Flyboys I have shown here on the channel before. These watches are just a great size, coming in at just over 42 millimeters. The thickness is not too bad on them, and they've got a great lug to lug, I think right around 48. We will get out the caliper here and measure it. So this is the 1960s models, guys. As you guys can see, you have the RAF roundel up there at between the 10 and 11 o'clock position. Nice little addition. Now this is running a Miyota, and I'm not exactly sure of the spec number because Miyota does make a few small seconds movements out there. But as you guys can see, it is running a small seconds there at the 5 o'clock position, which is a real nice addition. Over there at the 3 o'clock, you do have a date function, which is nice. Very nice kind of sword style hands here in the aviation style, as you guys can see. Now I've got a lot of reflection here. This is a sapphire crystal, and I don't think there's any AR coating on it at all. So it's a little tough to see, but there is a lot of definition to the style, as you always have on these AVI-8 watches. What I'm going to do is pause it here in a little bit. We'll get this watch on the wrist, and we'll make sure to get it on the wrist outside so that with under the natural light, you guys can see the dial on this watch. There is definitely like multiple layers on here. You have these applied indices all the way around. Those are loomed, and I'll get a loom shot at the end for this one too, for both the watches actually. Small seconds down there between the 4 and the 5 o'clock, and you have the Arabic numerals here in the other positions, the 1, 2, 7, 8, and 9. Great looking watch. This one is a PVD coated case on this nice leather strap. It's interesting, you always get a little bit of a, you guys hear that? Anytime you wear these or have these PVD cases and these leather straps, you get that little squeak, which is kind of different though. So let's go ahead and fire up the caliper here and get some specs on this watch. So case diameter side to side, yeah, 42 millimeters, just a nice good case size. And I'm pretty familiar with the cases on these Yeah, 48.2, like I said. Then on the thickness on this watch, you're looking at 12.7. So this one really has some great sizing all the way around. And these are 22 millimeter lugs, by the way. I don't need to measure that. Great sizing. These watches look really good on a NATO strap and stuff like that. So like I said, it's a 21 joule, small seconds Miyota movement. Go ahead and undo the buckle here so we can take a look at the case back. So here we go. So there you guys can see, it's neat they put the roundel down there at the bottom of the rotor, as you guys can see. You have over there the 21 jewels. Painted on the back of the case back, you have the AVI-8 there in chrome lettering, which is done very nice. And the nice decorated rotor, I think that's great with the Flyboy, the roundel. So on the case back also you have the all stainless steel construction. These are all 316L stainless cases. This being the 1960s model, you can see there. Water resistance to 50 meters. So this is a nice watch. You can actually get it wet. It's not going to hurt the watch to get it wet. Stainless steel and a sapphire crystal. As a matter of fact, what I'll do here is I will go ahead and fire up my crystal tester. Give that a second to warm up so we can check it out. So this is a great watch. I'm going to go ahead and get this one on the wrist and get it outside here in a second so we can check it out, look at the dial, and then we'll bring the 1980s up here in front of the camera, which is a really, really awesome looking watch. I'm going to leave a link down below. These watches will be available. I think it's tomorrow is the actual release date on these watches over at the AVI-8 UK website. I'm not sure if these are going to be available at the US website for AVI-8 or if they're only going to be on the UK website. So yeah, as you guys can see there, it jumps way up to the 8. Definitely a sapphire crystal on this watch. So let me pause it here. Let's get this watch on the wrist and let you guys see what the dial looks like outside. All right, so there it is with some natural sunlight on the dial there. Very nice deep dial, has a lot of definition to it. And we'll get a Loom Shot at the end of both watches. But you can see how the light plays off that PVD coated case and the different subdials down there. Great, great looking dial on these. These AVI-8s really always have a lot of definition to the dial. And this one is no exception. The Centenary, this is the 1960s model. I love that roundel up there at the 10 o'clock position, looks great. Definitely a looker. I have a 7-inch wrist, if you guys are wondering, if you're not familiar. I do have a 7-inch wrist, and it fits very well. All right, let's go ahead and go back into the studio, and let's take a look at the 1980s model. All right, so before we bring the watch up here, I'll just show you the card that comes with the 1980s version. We'll go ahead and flip it over again. And again, if you guys would like to go ahead and pause it and try to get a read of this card here. It has some interesting information about the 1980s, the RAF, what was going on, and basically in the entire aircraft world, or, you know, kind of in the world that counted at the time, as far as military power in the air goes. So go ahead and pause it and read that. And let's go ahead and take a look at the watch here. Now, this one is the 1980s model, and I got to tell you guys, I'm a bit in love with this watch. This is such a cool watch, everything about it. Now, again, very neat detail work. I'll get it outside also, get it in the sunlight so you guys can see. But you can see this texturing to the dial under here, down in the 6 o'clock area. Very textured, like aircraft instrumentation. Very well done. You have these nice brushed raised indices all the way around at the 5-minute marks, which look really nice. There's like 3 or 4 different layers to it. Now, if you guys can see up below the 12 o'clock position, you see that frosted or kind of smoke dial there, and you can see through that to the back side of the movement, which I think is just a really cool and different feature to the watch. As a matter of fact, if you look close enough, up there under 12, you can see numbers in the background. That's actually the date wheel. So you can see the numbers on the date wheel in the background there through that see-through piece of the movement. So this being the 1980s model, just kind of different design cues and stuff like that. One of the things I really think is the coolest thing ever is this little small seconds down here. Now, you saw the other one, the 1960s was wide open and stuff. This is enclosed. Now, as you see right there, that's at the top of the position, starting the countdown. So you watch that second hand go around there, and people say, well, why is it halfway covered up and stuff? And it's kind of goofy that way. But watch as it goes down, and you get to the 15-second mark and come up around here to the going towards 20. See how you got the shorthand, and it's counting on that second layer down there. So it's a really cool feature. Again, running this Miyota 21 joule small seconds movement, the date at the 3 o'clock position. This one is a all brushed stainless steel case on this one, and it has this really cool leather strap with a Cordura coating or layer over the top of it, which was very, in the 1980s, if you guys aren't familiar, I was a kid of the 80s, but Cordura was like a really high-tech fabric back then at the time and stuff like that. So one of the things I did not show on the other one, and it has the sign crown, but you do have the roundel also there on the crown, which is very common on all the Flyboy series watches that I've looked at. Very, very nicely done dial over there at the 9 o'clock position. You have the AVI-8 and the Centenary. Just a really neat layout. I mean, these watches always harken to this kind of RAF and flight background and stuff. They do a really good job of that. Go ahead and open the strap here so you guys can take a look at that. Very thick. Both of these straps are very thick leather, all genuine leather and stuff like that. So on the back side of this also you have the 1980s. Again, 316L stainless, sapphire crystal, water resistant to 50 meters. So again, a watch you can wear and enjoy. Get it a little wet, it's not going to hurt it. Genuine leather there on the strap. The AVI-8 logo is on both of these watch straps here, and the logo there on the buckle. Very nice. So go ahead and check out the crystal on this one also. I'm going to get this warmed up a little bit. Whoops. And you guys will see that again. Now I turned that up a little bit high there, but it is definitely a sapphire crystal also on this watch, which is great at the price point. Now these, I think, you guys can go to the website and sign up for these, and I think they're 255 pounds or something like that is the sign-up price. Great looking watches, really good looking watches, you know, for the price. So let me go ahead and get this one on the wrist, and we'll look at that dial out there in the sun, and then we'll go out with a Loom Shot of both of these watches. All right, guys. All right, guys, so this one to me is just a particularly stunning dial. I absolutely love the way that you can see through that top of the dial and see the movement there. Very cool watch. The texturing on that bottom half of the dial and around the minute track up there at the top. Very, very much aircraft inspired and stuff. So great looking watches. Try to get them outside in the sunlight so you guys can get an idea of what they're going to look like. So let's get it inside for the Loom Shot. All right, guys, so thank you if you have stuck around this long. Here's the Loom Shot. I know everybody likes to see the Loom Shot on these watches, and it's always kind of cool. These both have really nice lume. This is Super Luminova they're using on these watches. On the left-hand side, we have the 1960s, and on the right-hand side, the 1980s. I was a kid in the 1980s, so I'm really a fan of that watch. So as you guys can see on the 1960s there on the left-hand side, you do have the indices are loomed, so you have more than just the hands, whereas on the 1980s version there, you just have the loom on the hand. So a little bit different there, but great looking watches all around, guys. Thanks for sticking around and watching the video. If you've not subscribed to the OFD channel yet, please do. Please do. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up down there at the bottom. All right, thanks guys for tuning in. Check the description down below for a link to get these watches or to get signed up at the AVI-8 UK website to pick up one of these watches. Take care, guys.